Look, I am not going to sugarcoat this. When I, Krelva of the Zentari Prime Fleet Academy, first stepped off that transport shuttle onto Earth, I thought I had won the cosmic lottery. You know, the kind of assignment where you show up, flex a little, collect your passing grade, and head back home with another medal to pin on your already crowded chest. Yeah, I was that guy. The kind of cadet who had never met a challenge I could not dominate, never faced an obstacle I could not leap over with my naturally superior Zentari physiology, 3 meters tall, built like what humans would call a brick house, with 4 arms that could bench press a small vehicle. My people had conquered 17 star systems before humans had even figured out how to make fire without rubbing sticks together. So when the Galactic Military Exchange Program assigned me and 49 other elite cadets from various species to complete a rotation at the human training facility on Earth, well, let us just say I was not exactly shaking in my boots.
Actually, I was laughing.
We all were. The transport shuttle, a massive Velcron-class carrier, descended through Earth's atmosphere with all the grace of a drunk Bulgarian at a zero-gravity wedding. I stood near the viewport with my squad mates, watching this little blue and green marble grow large. Vonix, a gastropoid from the Slime Nebula region, oozed up beside me, his translucent body rippling with what I had learned to recognize as amusement. Tell me again why we are doing this. Vonix gurgled, his voice bubbling through his speaking membrane. Human military training. They barely made it off their own planet 50 years ago. What could they possibly teach us? Beside him, Tyrene clicked her mandibles together in that irritating way insectoids do when they find something funny. She was Klaxian, all chitin and compound eyes, with 6 limbs that made her look like someone's nightmare came to life. I heard their gravity is ridiculous, she chittered. Like 1.0 or something absurd like that. 1.0. I scoffed, my vocal cords producing that deep rumble that made other species nervous. Xanthari Prime is 1.3. I have been training in higher gravity since I hatched. This is going to be a vacation. Clicks. The crystalline from Refraction 7 chimed in with a sound like wind through glass bottles. My analysis suggests their atmospheric composition is primitive. Nitrogen, oxygen, trace elements. No methane, no sulfur. How do they even survive? We all had a good laugh at that. 49 cadets from 49 different worlds, each one of us representing the best of the best from our respective militaries. And here we were, being sent to train with the galactic equivalent of toddlers who had just learned to walk. The humans had been part of the Galactic Council for barely 2 generations. They had no telepathy, no natural armor, no claws, no venom, no size advantage. They were not even ambush predators, or had any notable physical advantages whatsoever. They were, by all accounts, hilariously average. The shuttle touched down at what the datapad called Fort Xerxes, somewhere in a desert region the humans referred to as Nevada. The rear hatch hissed open, and I got my first real blast of Earth air. Hot, dry, smelling of sand and something else I could not quite identify. Not unpleasant, just different. We filed out in formation because even though we were all secretly convinced this was going to be easy, we were still military cadets. Professional standards and all that. The spaceport was actually impressive for human construction. Clean lines, efficient design, clearly built with multiple species in mind given the varying sizes of doorways and facilities. And then I saw them. The humans. Oh, ancestors preserve me. They were tiny. I mean, I had seen humans before on holovids and in the council chambers, but seeing them in person was something else entirely. The tallest one waiting for us on that tarmac barely came up to my chest. They looked soft, squishy, like someone had forgotten to install their exoskeletons. 2 arms, 2 legs, heads wobbling around on these thin little necks that looked like they would snap in a stiff breeze. Their skin was exposed. No scales, no fur, just this vulnerable flesh covered in these weird fabric coverings they called uniforms. I caught Vonix's eye and we both had to suppress our laughter. This was going to be easier than I thought. The human who stepped forward was wearing more decorations on his uniform than the others. Dark skin, close-cropped hair going gray at the temples, shoulders broad for a human but still comically narrow by my standards. His face was set in what I would later learn humans called a neutral expression, but his eyes, oh, his eyes were doing something else entirely. They were scanning us, measuring us, calculating something. Cadets, he said, and his voice had this quality to it that made everyone stop moving. Not loud. Not aggressive, just commanding. I am Commander Torres. For the next 30 days you will be my students. You will complete the same training program every human soldier completes. The same runs, the same obstacles, the same drills, no modifications, no special accommodations for your species. You will eat what we eat, sleep when we sleep, and train how we train. Tyrene's mandibles clicked again. I could feel the barely suppressed amusement rippling through our group. Commander Torres continued, apparently oblivious to our complete lack of concern. I know what you are all thinking. You are thinking this will be easy. You are thinking humans are weak, slow, fragile. You are thinking you will breeze through this program and go home with a participation trophy. He paused, and that was when I saw it. Just the tiniest curl at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile, more like the expression a predator makes right before it pounces. You are wrong, he said simply. Fall in. We start at 0500 tomorrow. Dismissed. As we were led to our barracks by a human sergeant who looked like he weighed less than my left leg, I turned to Vomix. 30 days, I said, grinning with all 3 rows of my teeth. I give it 10 before they realize we are too advanced for this and send us home early. 10? Vomix bubbled. I give it 5. We laughed all the way to the barracks, right past the human cadets who were watching us with these weird expressions. Not fear, not awe, something else. Looking back now, I realize what those expressions were. Pity. They were looking at us with pity, and we were too arrogant to recognize it. Tomorrow was going to be educational, just not in the way I expected. The alarm went off at 0430, which was apparently human military speak for an ungodly hour that no sentient being should ever be awake. I rolled out of the specially reinforced bunk they had provided for my size, feeling pretty good about myself. 4 hours of sleep? Please. Xanthari warriors could function on 2 hours for weeks at a time. This was nothing. I stretched all 4 arms, cracked my neck, and prepared myself for whatever cute little exercises the humans had planned. Maybe some light jogging? A few push-ups? I had done 1,000 push-ups yesterday just to warm up for today. I was ready. What I was not ready for was gravity being a personal vendetta from the universe itself. Look, I know what you are thinking. Krelova, you idiot. You literally said yesterday that Earth's gravity was lower than Xanthari Prime. 1.0 versus 1.3. Basic math. Should be easier, right? Right. Wrong. So catastrophically, embarrassingly wrong. Because here is what nobody tells you about Earth gravity. It is not about the number. It is about the consistency. On Xanthari Prime, sure, we have higher gravity, but we evolved there. Our bodies are built for it, compensate for it, barely notice it. Earth gravity is different. It is like someone is constantly pressing down on every single part of your body at once all the time forever, and it does not let up, not even a little bit. I stepped outside for morning formation, and I swear every step felt like I was walking through wet concrete. My legs, these massive pillars of muscle that had carried me through every challenge the Academy threw at me, suddenly felt heavy. Not weak, just heavy, like someone had strapped weights to my ankles while I was sleeping. The human cadets were already in formation, standing at attention in neat little rows. They looked fresh, awake, comfortable. Meanwhile, I could see Vomix literally leaving a slime trail behind him because he was struggling to keep his mass cohesive in this gravity. Tyrene's wings were drooping, and Plix was making this high-pitched frequency that translated roughly to constant swearing in 7 different languages. Commander Torres appeared from nowhere, because apparently humans had also evolved the ability to teleport when no one was looking. Morning run, he announced cheerfully. Way too cheerfully for this hour. 10 kilometers. Easy pace. Let us see what you all can do. 10 kilometers. Easy pace. I almost laughed. 10 kilometers was nothing. I had run 50 kilometers in training back home, in higher gravity I should mention. This was going to be a warm-up. We lined up at the starting point, 49 alien cadets, and about 30 human cadets. Commander Torres blew his whistle, and we were off. For the first kilometer, I felt great, strong, powerful, eating up ground with my long strides. I passed several human cadets easily, my forearms pumping in rhythm. Behind me, I could hear Tyrene's chittering laughter as she used all 6 limbs to scuttle along. Vomix was sliding across the ground with surprising speed. Plix was somehow rolling, his crystalline body catching the early morning light. By kilometer 2, things started feeling different. My breathing was heavier than it should be. Not gasping. Not yet, but definitely working harder than expected. The human cadets I had passed earlier were still right there beside me and not even breathing hard. Their little legs pumping away, faces calm like this was literally nothing to them. Kilometer 3. And I noticed something terrible. The humans were not slowing down. At all. Same pace, same breathing. Like they had just started. Meanwhile, my legs were starting to burn. Actually burn like someone had lit tiny fires in my muscle fibers. Vomix had fallen behind, his slime trail getting thinner as he struggled to maintain cohesion and forward momentum simultaneously. By kilometer 5, halfway through I was in trouble. Real trouble. My pride would not let me slow down, but my body was screaming at me to stop. The gravity that had seemed like a minor inconvenience was now a constant enemy, pulling at every part of me, making every step a battle. Sweat, actual sweat was pouring down my scales. I had not sweated during a run since I was a hatchling. The human cadets were still right there. Worse, they were talking, casually chatting with each other like they were out for a pleasant stroll. One of them, a female with her hair tied back, was literally discussing something called a movie she had watched last night. During a 10-kilometer run, while I was dying, kilometer 7, and I heard the first crack. Cadets, crystalline had pushed too hard and developed a stress fracture. He wobbled to a stop, making sounds of distress. 2 human cadets immediately broke formation to help him, supporting his weight and walking him back toward the base. They did this without even breathing hard, and then they ran back to catch up with the formation. They ran extra distance to help someone and still caught up. What the actual hell? Kilometer 8. Tyrene's Chetan was clicking in distress. Her 6 legs, which should have given her a massive advantage, were struggling. The problem, she gasped out between breaths, was that each leg had to fight gravity independently. 6 points of failure instead of 2. Her evolutionary advantage had become a liability. Kilometer 9 and Vomix just stopped. Completely stopped. His gelatinous body had lost so much moisture from the effort that he was in danger of solidifying. A human medic appeared, again from nowhere, with electrolyte solution specifically formulated for gastropods. How did they even have that ready? Kilometer 10. The final stretch. I could see the finish line. My vision was tunneling. My hearts were pounding like drums. All 4 of my arms felt like they weighed 1,000 kilograms each, but I was going to finish. I was Krelva of Zentari Prime and I did not quit. I crossed the line and immediately collapsed. Not gracefully, not strategically, just straight down like someone had cut my strings. I lay there gasping, while the desert sand pressed against my face, and I questioned every life choice that had led me to this moment. Commander Torres walked over, not even winded from running alongside us. "Good effort, Cadet Krelva," he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice even though I could not lift my head to see it. "That is just the warm-up. Breakfast in 30 minutes. Then we start actual physical training. Warm-up. Warm-up." That had been a warm-up. I managed to lift my head enough to see the human cadets stretching, laughing, heading off to the mess hall like they had just woken up from a nap. Fresh as morning flowers, as the humans would say. Meanwhile, 30 of the 49 alien cadets were on the ground in various states of distress. Medical teams were moving between us, checking vitals, administering aid. Tyrene crawled over to where I was lying. "This is impossible," she clicked weakly. "They are not even tired." "How are they not tired?" Plix, who had been brought back on a hover stretcher, chimed in with a sound like breaking glass. "My analysis was incorrect. Drastically incorrect. I require new data, and possibly a new skeletal structure." Vomix oozed up, looking significantly more solid after his electrolyte treatment. "They are built different," he gurgled. "We have advantage, strength, speed, special abilities. They have, what is the word? Endurance. They just keep going. They do not stop." From somewhere behind us we heard Commander Torres' voice boom across the training ground. 30 minutes, cadets. Then we introduce you to the obstacle course. Oh, and fair warning, the obstacle course is where things get interesting. Interesting. He said interesting like it was a good thing. I lay there in the sand, my pride shattered into approximately 10,000 pieces, and realized something horrifying. We were not going to breeze through this. We were not even going to coast through this. We were going to suffer, and the humans, with their tiny frames and their fragile bodies and their complete lack of natural advantages, were going to watch us suffer with those same expressions they had worn yesterday. Pity. They had known. They had absolutely known, and they had not warned us because why would they? We would not have believed them anyway. I certainly would not have. 25 minutes later, after forcing down something humans called oatmeal that tasted like punishment in bowl form, we assembled at the obstacle course, and when I saw what was waiting for us, I finally understood why Commander Torres had used the word interesting. It looked like someone had built a nightmare out of wood, rope, and sadism, then scattered it across 2 kilometers of desert terrain. This was going to hurt a lot. The obstacle course stretched out before us like a monument to suffering. Walls that had to be climbed, ropes that had to be crossed, bars to swing from, tunnels to crawl through, and something called a tire run that looked deceptively simple, but I already knew was going to be a personal hell. Commander Torres stood at the starting line with a data pad, and that same expression that I was beginning to hate. Not quite smiling, but definitely entertained. "The rules are simple," he said. "Complete the course. There is no time limit for today. We just want to see what you can. Humans first to demonstrate technique. Then you all get your turn." A human cadet stepped up to the line. His name tag read Martinez. He was maybe 1.7 meters tall, probably weighed 65 kilograms soaking wet. Arms like twigs compared to mine. He looked like I could snap him in half without trying. The whistle blew and Martinez took off. He hit the first wall, a 3-meter vertical climb, and went up it like gravity was a suggestion rather than a law. His hands found holds, his feet pushed, and he was over the top in seconds. Then came the rope swing over a pit filled with muddy water. He grabbed the rope, swung across, landed clean on the other side. Monkey bars next, his body weight barely registering as he swung hand over hand across 20 meters of open air. Then the tire run. 40 tires laid out in a pattern that required high knee steps at speed. Martinez bounced through them like he was dancing, feet never missing, never fumbling. The crawl tunnel under barbed wire came next, and he went flat, pulling himself through the sand with his elbows while keeping his entire body centimeters from the ground. The final challenge was a cargo net climb, 15 meters straight up and then down the other side. Martinez scaled it without hesitation, flipped over the top, and descended with controlled speed. He crossed the finish line, breathing heavy but not destroyed, in just under 8 minutes. 8 minutes. The entire nightmare course. 8 minutes. 3 more human cadets went. All finished between 8 and 10 minutes. All made it look possible, achievable even. One of them, a female named Chen, actually stopped halfway through the monkey bars to adjust her grip and then continued like it was nothing. Then it was our turn. I volunteered to go first because my pride, though battered from the morning run, was still clinging to life. I stepped up to the line, cracked my knuckles on all 4 hands, and prepared to show these humans what real physical superiority looked like. The whistle blew. I charged the first wall with all the confidence of someone who had no idea what was about to happen. I jumped, grabbed the top edge with my upper arms, and tried to pull myself up. My body, all 180 kilograms of it, suddenly felt like it weighed 500. The gravity, that cursed persistent Earth gravity, turned my mass into an anchor. I got 1 arm over, then 2, my muscles screaming, and finally hauled myself to the top. Time elapsed. 45 seconds. Martinez had done it in 6. The rope swing looked simple enough. I grabbed the rope with all 4 arms, pushed off, and swung out over the pit. Except I had not accounted for momentum and mass. I swung out fine, but coming back down, the rope could not handle my weight combined with Earth's gravity. I heard a creaking sound, then a snap, and then I was falling straight into the muddy water below. I surfaced, spitting out mud that tasted like humiliation, while somewhere behind me I heard Tyrene's mandibles clicking in what was definitely laughter. A human instructor tossed me a new rope. "Try again, cadet. Less arms this time. 2 should do it." 2 arms. I had to use only 2 arms, negating one of my primary advantages. I tried again, made it across, emerged from the pit covered in mud and shame. The monkey bars were next, and this is where things got truly educational. See, monkey bars require you to swing your body weight between each bar. On Zenthari Prime, my mass worked in my favor with higher gravity giving me momentum. Here, each swing was a battle against Earth's pull. My shoulders started burning after the 3rd bar. By the 10th bar, my upper arms were shaking. By the 15th bar, I fell. Just dropped straight down onto the sand below, landing hard enough to knock the wind out of all 3 of my lungs. I lay there for a moment staring up at the Earth sky, wondering if it was too late to fake my own death and assume a new identity on a remote mining colony somewhere. Commander Torres appeared above me. "You good, cadet." "Define good," I wheezed. "Can you continue?" My pride, that stupid, stubborn thing, forced me to my feet. "Yes." The tire run destroyed what was left of my dignity. My feet, designed for Zenthari terrain, kept catching on the tire edges. I stumbled, recovered, stumbled again, nearly face-planted twice. Behind me, I could hear other cadets starting the course, and their struggles were somehow even worse than mine. Vomix had made it over the first wall by essentially oozing up and over it, but the rope swing was impossible for him. He had no hands, no way to grip. He tried to wrap his body around the rope and swing, but his mass distribution was all wrong. He ended up sliding down the rope into the mud pit and just stayed there, floating sadly on the surface like a defeated pool toy. Tyreen made it past the wall and the rope, but the monkey bars were a disaster. 6 limbs meant 6 points of coordination failure. She got tangled, literally tangled in her own legs, and hung there upside down until human instructors had to help her down. Clicks, bless his crystalline heart, shattered again on the tire run. Apparently, rapid directional changes plus his rigid molecular structure equaled stress fractures. He made it through 6 tires before cracking so badly that he had to be carried off on the hover stretcher again. I finished the course in 43 minutes. 43 minutes of pure suffering. I crossed the line and collapsed again, this time with no intention of getting up for several hours. Out of 49 alien cadets, only 12 finished the course that day. 12. The rest either injured themselves, gave up, or physically could not complete certain obstacles due to their biology. Meanwhile, every single human cadet finished. Every single one. As I lay there in the sand, too tired to even feel embarrassed anymore, Commander Torres called us all together. The alien cadets who could still move gathered around him in a sad little semicircle of defeated beings. The human cadets stood behind him, not gloating, just watching with that same patient expression. "You all want to know why this is so hard for you," Torres said. It was not a question. "You want to know why these humans, who look so weak and fragile, can do things that you cannot. So let me explain something about Earth." He gestured around at the desert, the sky, the base. Earth is a death world. We did not know this until we met other species and realized that most of you evolved on paradise planets, where food was abundant, predators were manageable, and survival was not a daily question. Earth was not like that. Earth tried to kill us constantly. Tyreen clicked a question. How? How? Torres actually smiled. "Let me count the ways. Predators that could smell us from kilometers away. Weather that could freeze us solid or cook us alive. Diseases that wiped out entire populations. Parasites. Venomous creatures. Food scarcity. And gravity. Constant, unrelenting gravity that forced us to develop the most efficient bipedal locomotion in the known galaxy just to survive." He paused, letting that sink in. "You all have advantages. Strength, speed, armor, extra limbs, special abilities. You needed those advantages to survive on your worlds. We had nothing. No claws, no venom, no armor, no size. So we developed something else. Endurance? Persistence? The ability to just keep going long after every other predator on our planet gave up." Vomix gurgled weakly from his position in the mud pit. "Persistence. Persistence." Torres confirmed. "Humans used to hunt prey by just following it. For hours, for days sometimes. We would track an animal, and it would run away. Faster than us. Stronger than us. And we would just follow. And follow. The animal would rest. And we would catch up. It would run again, and we would follow again. Eventually the prey would collapse from exhaustion, and we would walk up and finish it. We call it persistence hunting. We are not the fastest, not the strongest, but we absolutely refuse to stop." I felt something click in my brain. A realization that made all of this make terrible, horrible sense. "Your 10-kilometer run," I said slowly. "It was not training. That is just what you can do. Normally." Torres nodded. "Average human can run a marathon, 42 kilometers with minimal training. Good human runners can do ultramarathons, 160 kilometers or more. We are built for distance, not sprints. Built for endurance, not burst strength. This obstacle course, this tests every advantage Earth gave us. grip strength from climbing trees to escape predators, upper body strength from throwing weapons, flexibility from squeezing into caves and shelters, coordination from bipedal motion in varied terrain. He looked at each of us in turn. You came here thinking we were weak. You thought this would be easy. But you made a mistake. You judged us by how we look instead of what we can do. In combat, in survival, in any real challenge, that mistake gets you killed. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of Plix's stress fractures settling and Vomix's sad bubbling. We start again tomorrow, Torres said. Same time, same course. You will keep trying until you can complete it. Not as fast as us. We do not expect that. But complete it you will. Because that is what this training is about. Not proving you are better than humans. Proving you are better than you were yesterday. He dismissed us and we limped, crawled, and oozed our way back to the barracks. I had come to Earth thinking I was going to teach humans a lesson. Instead, I had learned one. A painful, humbling, absolutely devastating lesson about assumptions, pride, and never underestimating an opponent based on appearance. Humans were not strong, despite their limitations. They were strong because of them. Earth had forged them in fire and gravity and endless struggle, and they had emerged as something terrifying, persistent, enduring, unbreakable. And me? I was just grateful tomorrow was only day 2. I had 28 more days to figure out how to survive training with the scariest species in the galaxy, the ones who looked harmless. Day 30 arrived with all the fanfare of a funeral dirge, which was fitting because the old version of me had definitely died somewhere around day 12. That was the day I finally completed the obstacle course in under 20 minutes, only to watch a human grandmother, an actual civilian grandmother visiting the base, completed in 15 minutes while chatting on her communication device. That day had been particularly educational regarding the fragility of my ego. The alien cadets assembled at 0430 for the last time, and the difference between now and day 1 was staggering. We moved with purpose instead of arrogance. We stretched properly instead of showing off. We hydrated like our lives depended on it because we had learned, painfully, that they did. Vomix had lost 30% of his body mass and gained it back twice during training. He now moved with calculated efficiency instead of his previous sloppy oozing. Tyrene had learned to use only 4 of her 6 limbs for most obstacles, keeping 2 in reserve for when she needed them. Plix had been fitted with reinforcement bands around his crystalline structure and had not shattered in over a week, which was a personal record. And me? I had learned humility. Also, how to fall properly, but mostly humility. Commander Torres stood before us in the pre-dawn darkness, his face illuminated by the training ground lights. Behind him, the obstacle course waited like an old enemy that had become a begrudging friend. Final evaluation, he announced. Modified course for our non-human cadets. Same challenges, adjusted for your biology and physiology. This is not about competing with humans anymore. This is about proving to yourselves that you can adapt, overcome, and succeed. The modified course was still brutal. Do not get me wrong. The walls were slightly shorter, but angled differently. The rope swing had been replaced with multiple crossing options. The monkey bars had varied grip sizes. The tire run had different patterns for different leg configurations. It was not easier, just fairer. 37 of us remained. 12 had washed out during the month, sent home with medical discharges or voluntary withdrawals. No shame in that, Torres had told us. Knowing your limits was as important as pushing past them. I stepped up to the starting line with a completely different mindset than day 1. I was not here to dominate or show off. I was here to complete the course using every technique these humans had painstakingly taught me over the past month. Techniques about leverage instead of strength, about rhythm instead of power, about breathing and pacing and not treating every obstacle like a personal challenge to my masculinity. The whistle blew. I hit the first wall with measured aggression, using 2 arms to pull and 2 to push, distributing my weight exactly how Instructor Chen had shown me during week 3. Up and over in 20 seconds. Not Martinez's 6, but respectable. The crossing obstacles came next. I chose the balance beam option instead of the rope, keeping my center of gravity low, arms out for stability. Made it across without falling. Small victory, but I celebrated it internally. Monkey bars. I swung with bent arms to reduce the distance my mass had to travel. I breathed in rhythm with my movements. I did not rush. 15 bars became 20 bars became all 30 bars, and I dropped down on the other side with my shoulders burning but functional. The tire run was still awkward with my foot structure, but I had learned to turn that into an advantage, using the tire edges for push-off points. High knees, quick steps, focus on the next tire, not the last one. Through it in reasonable time without face-planting even once. The crawl tunnel was easier now that I had learned to distribute my weight across all 4 arms, turning myself into a stable platform that slid through the sand. The barbed wire above me felt less threatening when I understood it was teaching me about keeping a low profile under fire. Final obstacle. The cargo net. 15 meters up, 15 meters down. I climbed with steady purpose, 3-point contact at all times, testing each hold. At the top, I paused and looked out over the base. The desert, the sunrise just starting to paint the sky orange and pink. From up here I could see the human cadets watching. Not judging, not mocking. Waiting, supporting. They had become something unexpected over these 30 days. Not enemies to defeat, but comrades who had shared knowledge earned through generations of survival on a world that did not want them to exist. I descended the far side and crossed the finish line. 22 minutes, 37 seconds. I had done it. Actually done it. Behind me, Vonix oozed across the line, his time displayed at 29 minutes even. Tyreen scuttled through at 19 minutes, clicking triumphantly. Plix rolled across at 32 minutes without a single crack in his structure. One by one, 37 alien cadets completed that course. Some took 40 minutes. Some took 50. One took nearly an hour. But every single one of us finished. The graduation ceremony was held that evening in the main assembly hall. We stood in formation, still sore, still tired, but standing tall. Commander Torres moved down the line, presenting each of us with a completion certificate and a small metal pin depicting Earth with crossed rifles behind it. When he reached me, he stopped and extended his hand in that human gesture of respect. I took it carefully, having learned exactly how much pressure human bones could handle, and You did good, Krelva, he said quietly. Day 1 I thought you might be the first to quit. Too much pride, not enough sense. I'm glad I was wrong. You were not wrong, sir, I replied. But you taught me to be different, to be better. He smiled. A real smile this time. That is all we ever try to do. Now go home and share what you learned. Not the exercises or the techniques. Share the lesson. Share that strength comes in many forms, and the most dangerous opponent is the one you underestimate. The ceremony ended with a traditional human military tradition called a dining-in, where we shared a meal together as equals. The food was still weird. Humans apparently considered cheese to be a food group rather than spoiled milk. But I ate it anyway. We told stories, compared experiences, and laughed about our failures. Tyreen described the time she got tangled in the cargo net and hung there like what humans called a Christmas ornament. Vomix recounted leaving a slime trail so thick during week 2 that 3 humans slipped on it, and the entire training schedule had to be paused for cleanup. Plix made sounds resembling wind chimes while describing his multiple shattering incidents, which was apparently crystalline for self-deprecating humor. And me? I told them about day 1, about how I had thought this would be easy, about how I had looked at Commander Torres and seen weakness instead of strength. The scary thing, I concluded, addressing both the alien and human cadets present, is that humans still look weak to me. Physically, objectively, compared to my species, you are fragile. I could still break most of you without trying. But now I know that does not matter. Because you would get back up, and keep coming, and keep fighting. Long after I was exhausted, long after I had given everything I had, you would still be there. Still moving. Still persisting. That is terrifying in the best possible way. Martinez raised his glass in a toast. To the 49 alien cadets who thought they were better than us and learned they were different instead. Different is not worse. Different is just different. We drank to that. Even though the human alcohol did absolutely nothing to my xanthori metabolism except make everything taste vaguely like regret. The next morning we boarded the transport shuttle that would take us back to our respective homeworlds. As Earth shrank in the viewport behind us, I thought about what I would tell the instructors at Xanthari Prime Fleet Academy. How would I explain that the most important military training I had ever received came from a species that looked like they would lose a fight with a strong breeze? Then I realized I did not need to explain it with words. I would show them. I would teach them what Torres taught me. About endurance over strength. About persistence over power. About never judging an opponent by how they look because appearance is the greatest deception in combat. Humans had spent millions of years evolving on a death world that tried to kill them in every way possible. They survived not by being the strongest or fastest or most armored. They survived by being too stubborn to die, too persistent to quit, too adaptable to fail. They survived by being human. And now, after 30 days of the most humbling training in my life, I understood why the Galactic Council had accepted them so quickly despite their lack of obvious advantages. Why other species spoke about humans with a mix of confusion and respect. Why Earth, this tiny blue marble of a death world, produced soldiers that could keep pace with beings engineered by evolution to be superior in every measurable way. Because measurements do not account for will. Statistics do not capture determination, and no amount of natural advantages can overcome a species that simply refuses to stop. I looked at the Earth through the viewport one last time. That beautiful, terrible, wonderful death world that had taught me the most important lesson of my military career. Never underestimate the ones who look harmless. They are usually the most dangerous of all, especially if they are human. Especially then.